And we are live. Welcome back with Murphy Mac to another episode of the Fitness Beginner Podcast. We help you get started on your fitness journey. What is up, folks? It is currently Sunday night. Hopping on here to do another podcast yet again. Hopefully, y'all listening to this on Monday. You getting your week started right. Y'all already know what I like to say. Can't win the week if you don't start on Monday. So y'all get after it today. Enjoy your day. Be safe. Do something productive. Get one thing done off your list, your to-do list. I know that everybody got a long to-do list. So go ahead and do it. Don't make no excuses. You got this. You're going to have a great week. I am manifesting it now. Great weeks for everybody. Let's do it. But yeah, today's podcast topic is about counting calories. This is huge. I know this is like everybody's favorite topic when it comes to nutrition and hitting your fitness goals. Everybody's first thing they do is when they say, "Oh, I'm gonna start eating right," or "I'm gonna start working out," or "I'm gonna get healthy," whatever. First thing they do is they download MyFitnessPal. They start saying, "I'm gonna track my calories. I'm gonna track what I'm eating." And there's good reason behind this. There's good reason why people, that's the first thing they think of doing is counting calories. But as y'all may already know, what I'm about to say is this may not be the best option for all of y'all. This may not be the best way to go about it. And honestly, well, I'm gonna say that for the end. I'm gonna tell y'all my opinion at the end of what I would personally do for 99% of the people out there. What I would suggest y'all do. So y'all gotta stick around to the end to get that info. But yeah, I think calorie count can be a good thing, but it also can be a negative thing at the same time. And that's what we're gonna kind of get in today. And then at the end, I'll give you my advice on what I would do if I were you. So everybody already knows pretty much what calorie counting is. Basically, you're counting how many calories you eat every day versus like how many you burn every day, so you get an energy balance at the end of the day. So why is calorie counting important? So calorie is simply put, it's a unit of energy. So every food, every drink, everything that you consume, except for water, it's going to contain some kind of calorie. So our bodies use these calories for essential functions like breathing, thinking, moving, any physical activity. Your body is using these calories and burning them to function, basically. But if we consume more of these calories than our body needs, well, guess what happens? That excess in calories gets stored as fat. So I know this is pretty basic. I think we all know this at this point. But on the other hand, if we consume fewer calories than we burn throughout the day, well, you're going to have to tap into the extra fat that you have stored in your body for energy, which is going to lead to weight loss. So you're using the fat for energy instead of storing up extra energy. So hopefully that makes sense. So this balance of calories consumed versus the calories burned, this is what's called your caloric balance. So we want to balance this out, or we want to be in a surplus or a deficit, depending on what your goals are. This is going to be key to achieving your body composition, whatever that is. So counting calories is essentially a way to understand and a way to manage this caloric balance more precisely. It gives you a better understanding of what your body is doing, if it's gaining weight or if it's losing weight. That's better than just guessing. So how do you count calories? Again, most people already know. You could do it old school and just write it down on pen and paper. But let me go back. The first thing you want to do is you want to figure out your maintenance calories. So you may be asking, what is maintenance calories? Well, this is going to be different from person to person, like very different from person to person. It's going to depend on a lot of factors, and it's going to be very hard number to actually find the correct number. So it's going to come with a lot of trial and error. But with today's day and age, with technology, there's a lot of shortcuts to get to this number quicker. But again, they're not all 100%, so you still have to do a little trial and error. But some of the factors that will determine your calorie maintenance is going to be your age, your sex, your current weight, your physical activity, how active you are throughout the day, a lot of things like that. Any kind of how sedentary you are, like what your job is, if you sit at the desk all day, if you work construction all day. It's going to depend. So it's going to be very different from person to person. Also, any kind of like older health problems or anything like that can also play effect in it. If you're injured at that time, that can play an effect in it. There's a lot of things that go into what makes up your calorie maintenance. So what you got to do is you got to figure out what this calorie maintenance number is, because that's the number that we're going to base everything off of, is that calorie maintenance number. Just to keep things simple for the podcast, we're going to put it at 2,000, because that's like generic number, 2,000 calories a day. That's what we're going to use for the podcast, just to keep numbers simple. But like I mentioned, there's technology that can help you get to this number. Well, go online, type in calorie counting or maintenance calories, or type in calorie calculator or calorie counting calculator, whatever you want to type in, it'll come up. Pick one. It'll ask you a few questions. Fill it out, put it in, and it'll spit out a number for you. And this number, honestly, is not going to be correct for pretty much anybody, but it's a good starting point. It's a very good starting point, and you can use that number to start with and then work your way from there. You have to adjust from there, depending on if you need more or less calories. So, another thing, look up TDEE. So that means Total Daily Energy Expenditure Calculator. So TDEE calculator, that's what you want to type in Google. And this will estimate how many calories you need each day based on age, weight, height, gender, activity level, things like that. And then once you get that number, you want to base your calories off of that number. So if you want to lose weight, obviously you want to eat less calories than that number. If you want to gain weight, you want to eat more calories than that number. So the next step is tracking your food. Track how much food you're taking in each and every day. And I suggest do it with an app. It's 2024. Use the technology to your advantage. The most popular one is going to be MyFitnessPal. You've probably heard of it before, but you don't have to use that one. There's other ones out there there's a Chronometer, Lose It. I actually like to use Chronometer because it's free. MyFitnessPal, you have to pay for certain things on there. So that's up to you if you want to use it. But this allows you to log your meals. You know, pretty much every food you buy nowadays comes with a barcode. So these little apps make it super easy to scan the barcode, and it will literally fill out all the information for you. The only thing you have to put in there is your serving size. So you will have to fill out like how much you ate that day. I mean, how many servings you ate and things like that. But these apps make it super simple to track your calories nowadays. And it'll have pre-made like meals and things in there. So say you want to track ground beef. If you want to, you just type in ground beef and it'll pop up. You just click on ground beef and then put how much serving of, say, 5 ounces, and you put that in there, and it'll calculate the fats, the carbs, the proteins, the calories. It'll calculate all that for you and add it in a little log so you can keep track of it. This is the best way to do it. If you're old school, you want to do it on pen and paper, you can do that, but it's going to be way harder, much more time consuming, and you might as well use that app because it makes it so much easier. These apps have databases with nutritional information for various foods. They also have databases with restaurants. Like if you go to a certain restaurant, like a pretty popular restaurants, they'll have the meals already logged in there for you, and you can just use it. This will save you from having to put everything in there one by one, like line by line. You don't have to do that because it'll already have it populated in there. It just makes it way easier. It makes it more accurate, and just makes it more user friendly. So that's what you want to do. You got to track every single food, every single meal. I know it's very time consuming. It's very inconvenient in my opinion. So as y'all see, this is not, honestly, I don't track calories, and I don't because it's a lot of work. But I highly suggest you do it for a little while to get you a better understanding of how much food you're actually eating to get you started. I've been doing this for 11 years now, so I don't really have to track my calories anymore. But that's because that just comes with experience. I've been doing it so long, I don't really need to. But if you're a beginner, you're just getting started, then yeah, I probably would say it's good to start tracking your calories. It's not going to hurt you at all. But the goal is to not have to track calories forever. You don't have to do that forever. The goal is to do it for a while, learn how many calories is actually in certain foods. Because what most people don't realize is there's a lot more calories in the servings of foods that you're eating than you realize. Like you may think you're only eating one serving of a certain food, but really you're eating 3. So you ain't really tracking your calories right. So when you actually start tracking your food in these apps and weighing your food, that's the next step. Weigh your food and measure your food. That's going to be step number 3. So for the most accurate tracking, you got to weigh or measure your food, especially at first when you don't know how much food actually weighs. So I actually learned a lot about this during my bodybuilding prep because I had to weigh out everything, literally every little thing. I had to weigh it out to a T, and it had to be exact. It had to be on the money, like on the diet. If I needed 5 ounces of ground beef, I got 5 ounces of ground beef on the diet. If I needed 100 grams of rice, weighed out 100 grams of rice on the diet. Like that's how to do it, and it's super strict, and it's not fun. It's time consuming, but it helps. It's like if whatever your goals are, it's gonna help you out. It works. 100% works, guaranteed. It's way better than eyeballing proportions, because when you first start, you don't know what to eyeball because you ain't never done it correctly. But you gotta actually do the work, the dirty work first, and then later on you can transition into eyeballing later, which is kind of what I do nowadays. And then you just want to review and adjust. So based on your progress, adjust your calorie intake. If you're losing weight and that's your goal, then good, stay where you're at. Or if you're gaining weight, and that's your goal, good. But if you're gaining weight and you're supposed to be losing weight, well, something's off there. Your calories ain't right somewhere. So either you're tracking it wrong, or you're eating too much, or something's off. So you got to readjust. You got to be able to review it and adjust it, and then go from there. Or if you're losing weight too fast, you may need to bump the calories back up again to kind of make it more better progression. You don't want to just drop a bunch of weight at once. You're more likely to put it back on that way. So you may have to increase or decrease your calories slightly based on like what your goals are and how you're doing at that time. So that's kind of how you track calories. The most important tip is consistency is key. You don't have to be perfect, but the closer you can get to being perfect to your daily target, the more reliable your results are going to be. So that's why I say you don't want to eyeball it. You want to weigh it. You want to get it as perfect as possible, because this is going to help you hit your goals even more. It's going to take it from maybe 90% chance of you hitting your goals to 100% chance of you hitting your goals. So you definitely want to do it at first. Be consistent with it. So next we're talking about what is the difference between counting calories and counting macros. So you've probably heard of people say, I'm counting my macros, or if it fits your macros. You've probably heard this term before. What is macros? Macros is short for macronutrients. So macronutrients are going to be your carbs, your fats, and your proteins. So what's the difference? Basically, counting your macros takes counting calories one more step further. Like it gets even more into the weeds, into the depth of counting calories. And for 99% of people, I would not suggest this. I would not suggest counting macros for most people. Not because it don't work. It definitely works. 100% it works. But for most people, one, they don't understand exactly what macros they should be eating or why they should be eating certain macros. But they don't it's too time consuming, it's too difficult, and most people will give up after a while. Like they won't keep doing it. If you can stick to it, then yeah, heck yeah, macros is the best way to go about it. Honestly, if you can stick to it and be consistent with it and actually do it, I think macros is probably the best way to go about your nutrition. But 99% of people is not going to do this. 99% of people is not going to track their macros. And I'm just keeping it real. I'm just being honest, because it's time consuming. It's a lot of work to do. There is times when you would want to do this though, and that's for extreme cases like a bodybuilding show, like a Ironman, or if you're training for something very, very specific, then counting your macros would be appropriate. But for the majority of people, I would say you don't really need to do it. It's a little too much into the weeds that you don't have to. If you want to do it, go for it. It works. It's probably going to give you your best results possible. But we try to make sustainable habits, and that for most people is just not sustainable. But the way you do macros is literally the same way you do calories. Instead of basing your diet off of one large calorie goal. So like I said earlier, that 2,000 calorie goal. Instead of doing that, you would break it up into 3 different goals, which would be your protein, carbs, and fat. So you'd want to percentage of your diet to be each macro. So for example, I want 40% of my diet to be protein. I want 40% of my diet to be carbs. And then the last 20%, I want it to be fat. So then you would base your foods off of these macros. And again, you would have to count them like in your app, in your calorie count app to show how many carbs, fats, and macros was in each meal. And it also tell you your calories too. But yeah, it takes counting calories one step further. So it's only for, in my opinion, it's only for very extreme cases. So if you're training for a bodybuilding show, training for some kind of endurance athlete, so like a Ironman, ultra marathon, if you're doing something very, very specific, if you had like a photo shoot or something coming up and you had to get the best results possible, or if your wedding was coming up, this may be something you want to do. But if I'm just keeping it real, being honest with y'all, you're more than likely not going to do this forever. Like, it's not very sustainable, in my opinion. For some people that likes to go to the extreme, yes, it is. But for the majority of it, it's not. Again, when you're first starting out and you really want to like dial in your nutrition, I would suggest do this. Like, count your macros or your calories for a few months, just to give you a better understanding of, okay, that's what 5 ounces of beef looks like. That's what 5 ounces of chicken looks like. That's what 100 grams of rice looks like. It'll help you get a better idea of portion sizes and how many calories, how much protein is in that portion size, and you can kind of look at it and eyeball it and see. But that comes with time. That comes with experience. That comes with years of preparation and doing it. Like I mentioned earlier, when I trained from a bodybuilding show, I learned a lot about, like, I can look at a thing of meat and tell you just about how many ounces it is, about how much protein's in it, and that's just because I did it for so long. I did it literally every day. And honestly, I would suggest you do that at first too, to give you a better understanding of how much you're actually eating. Because I bet most of y'all are underestimating how much you're eating in the day. You probably think you're eating 2,000 calories a day, and when you're really eating 2,500, 3,000 calories a day, because you just don't understand. Like, you can't eyeball something and see and tell how much calories in. Especially if you're eating processed foods, like those things are just loaded with calories. You're definitely not gonna be able to guess how much you're eating. So that's the difference between counting calories and counting macros. Calories is gonna be for the majority of people. Macros is gonna be for those extreme case people, those people that want to take it one step further and go above and beyond. So who should count calories? Those people with specific body composition goals it could be good for you to count calories. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to build muscle, if you're just trying to maintain a lean physique, calorie counting, it can provide clarity on how much you're eating, and it can help you make informed choices. So anybody with a specific body composition goal, it's to your benefit to count calories. The next person that should count calories is people with health goals tied to weight management. So for those managing health conditions like diabetes, metabolic syndrome, understanding calorie intake, it can be a valuable tool for managing your blood sugar, your cholesterol, and your overall health. So people with some underlying health problems, calorie counting can definitely help you and benefit you. And then also your athletes and your physique competitors, you're gonna have to count your calorie. Like, you have to. There's no way around it. There's no way you can just, if you're doing a bodybuilding show, you can just guess. There's no way. You gotta count them. Like, when you go into that level of extremes, honestly, endurance athletes, you should have an idea of how much you're eating too, because you're gonna need to be fueling your body. You need to be eating more carbs, especially carbs when it comes to endurance athletes. So athletes, physique competitors, y'all, this is obviously going to be good for y'all to count your calories as well. This way you make sure you're meeting your energy goals, you're meeting your protein goals and things like that. So that leads us to who should not count calories. So any individual that has a history of disordered eating. So anybody that's had a eating disorder in the past, counting calories may not be for you. It can lead to obsessive behavior around food. So if this is you, if you know you've struggled with a food disorder in the past, it may not affect everybody, but for some of y'all, yeah, this may not be the best option to go. You may want to take a less structured approach, like mindful eating, intuitive eating. This may be healthier for you. That's going to differ from person to person, though. You're going to know if you're one of these people or not. So just keep that in mind. The next person is those were just general health, like goals of being healthy, like general health goals. You don't necessarily want to like lose a lot of weight or gain a lot of weight. You kind of just want to maintain where you're at. Just eat healthier, but you don't want to be like super strict. Not trying to gain or lose a lot of weight. You're just focusing on eating nutrient dense foods, managing your portion sizes. You don't want to stress over counting calories. You just want to have a balanced, healthy lifestyle. Like you don't necessarily have to count calories. Like I said, you don't have to. So if you're just one of those people that just want to stay generally healthy and you're happy with where you're at right now, then you don't really need to. And the number 3, which is going to be most of y'all, is anyone who finds it overwhelming. So tracking calories, it can be stressful at times. It can be impractical. It's inconvenient. It's not fun. So you're probably going to give up and quit after a while. So you can find alternative methods like you can do portion control, focus on eating whole, unprocessed foods. These things are going to help you. But if you can, I would do it for a few months at least, just to help you out with help you understand better of how much you're actually eating. So remember, the goal is to develop a healthy, positive relationship with food and your body. If calorie counting is negatively impacting your mental health, then it's okay to take a step back and try something different. So that's going to lead y'all to my opinion and what I would do for the majority of people, 99% of people. What I suggest you should do is, I think protein out of the macros is going to be most important. So I would suggest you count your protein, but don't count anything else. I know this is going to sound kind of weird, but not necessarily tracking calories or tracking macros. I just want you to track your protein. And I would suggest pretty much everybody to eat a high protein diet. So what does that mean? You should eat 1 gram of protein per pound of your body weight. That's a good generic number to be at. And so whatever that number is, say you're 180 pounds, well, you should be eating 180 grams of protein every day. That should be your goal. Like, your goal is not to eat 2,000 calories. It's not to eat 40% protein, 40% carbs, 20% fat. Your goal is to eat 180 grams of protein that day. That's your goal. And I think if you eat this amount, like if you eat that much protein throughout your day, then there's no way possible you could overeat or undereat if you're eating good foods, like healthy foods, good foods, like your meats, vegetables, fruits. You're not eating a bunch of processed food. Your body has natural ways to tell you that you're full, that your body no longer needs any more food, as long as you're eating whole foods. But honestly, well, if you're eating like a bunch of junk food, processed foods, then yes, you can overeat eating that. But as long as you're eating whole foods, single ingredient foods, vegetables, meats, fruits, things like this, there's no way you're going to overeat. So literally my advice to you would just be aim to eat your protein goal. If you can hit your protein goal, you're more than likely going to be right where you need to be, whether that's like you're not going to undereat and you're not going to overeat. Trust me, that's a lot of protein to eat. That's going to fill you up. You're going to be full from eating that much protein because you're going to have to eat 50 grams of protein in one sitting. Like each meal, depending on how many meals if you only eat 3 meals, that's a lot of protein to eat in one meal. You're going to be full. You're not going to overeat after you eat all that protein. So that's what I suggest. I know it don't sound like it would work, but it really will. If you're eating healthy foods, your body has triggers in it. It's going to tell you, hey, I'm full. I don't need to keep eating. But if you eat processed foods, it's literally designed to make you overeat. Processed foods literally are designed to make you eat more, to make you want more, make you crave more. Literally the taste of it, the sound that it makes, the flavor, like it's all modified to make you eat more. They literally research these things. These companies that makes this food, they literally put research and development in their foods to how to make you more addicted to it, how to make you eat more, how to make you want to come back for more. So that's my advice to you. Try to hit your protein goal, and you should be at about the right amount of calories. It should be throughout that day. That's pretty much what I do. I literally, like, my goal for every meal is to get in as much protein as possible and to eat the protein first. So I eat my protein before I eat any other part of my meal. So like if you have a vegetable, if you have a carb, a starch, something, I'll eat it last. Like I'll eat my meat first, unless obviously you're mixing it all together or something. Then I'll eat it together. But if it's separated, eat your protein first, which because that's more satiating. It's gonna fill you up, make you more full, which will make you eat less of the other food. So eat your protein first, hit your protein goal, and y'all should be good to go. So that's my advice to 99% of people. Obviously, there's gonna be some people out there that this don't apply to, but I'm going for the masses here. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. Hope y'all enjoyed this little podcast about counting calories. I know a lot of people like to do this, and a lot of people do count calories, and it does work. So if that's what you like to do, hey, go for it. I think it's a good thing if you can do it. I just don't necessarily think it's sustainable for most people. But if it works for you, it works for you. Try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to keep doing it. But if you do like it, hey, keep doing it. If it's working for you, I suggest keep going. Do what's working for you and hit your goals. That's all it is to it. Other than that, y'all have a great day. Peace, love, protein. We out.